We're live now for the time being, So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try sharing it to a few pages.
You don't have him
Okay.
number available?
Oh, Tony?
No, not Tony. Richard.
Richard?
Yeah. It's in the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to go in on the phone. Somebody raise them on. It's an iPhone.
Yeah. Greetings, sir, iPhone. Greetings, Comrade Delete.
Thank you, Comrade or Ira Mary.
How you doing?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
Greeting, comrade.
Greeting, Comrade Thomas. How's life?
Life is good.
Good, good.
I didn't even know it was your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thanks. It was Monday.
Happy belated
Right,
birthday, Comrade Delete.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks.
Anthony? Anthony?
Night, guys.
Good night, night, comrade. Tonight is a night where we're going to show face, We don't know hiding business tonight.
When we break out, so when we go off, we can turn it before. Well, me on break, but
oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, you at work?
Yeah.
So you can only listen then?
Yeah, So me leave if it's still on by then.
What time you leave work?
10:30.
When 10:30?
Yeah.
Yeah, we might still be on. Right, comrade? And Colin?
Man, we can go as long as you wanted.
Okay. Oh, Latoya is here. Welcome, comrade Latoya. What is happening at my end? Why am I losing?
Come on, you're good. Yeah, everybody here. Comrade Latoya.
Yeah.
It's connecting to order.
I forget she's driving.
Let me see if we get Tony.
Yeah, there she is. Greetings, comrade, and welcome. Good night. I appreciate you joining us. Be safe while you drive.
Yeah, thank you.
You didn't have a problem getting on, right?
No, I didn't.
Right. I'm just wondering why we don't have folks if they had problem getting on.
You can access this time.
Eh? I don't hear you, Anthony.
I was saying it was easy access to go on. They just took the building.
Okay. So we're being real. I don't like to use the term. Black people
Alice. Okay.
I don't like to use it. So what's going on, Anthony? What's going on in the political world? Update it. I tell you, we wasn't going to hear nothing about Falwell.
That's true. We don't listen to anything for him still in the film part of it now. God. I
No,
just
but
so surprising is the speaker now,
but
even though when don't talk about it, she go worse than her predecessor. And that true as it is, she's far worse.
somebody just joined, but I just tell you that the man at when station name Fifth Views
JLP
it was just
Labor
a
Rights Reconciliation.
serial dramatist that try to take any opportunity he can get to try and hurt the PNP. I know he didn't have nothing sensational coming. Oh, here you are, Comrade Grace. Welcome,
Good
ma'am.
night. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night,
Good night.
comrade.
Good night, Lily.
Yes,
Lily.
ma'am. Welcome.
That's my mom's name.
Nice.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you, Comrade Horace, JLP is just they don't have that much credibility. They're just here to spread. They're more gossip.
But we pay attention to them. Why?
You know, pay attention to me when you read the article, you know, listen to them or anything. And one or two times I might listen to something like the other day, you know, regarding the West Hanover incident and the lady come and let me have to listen. However, I'm not gonna pay them much mind. If I'm not RJ or TVJ or CJ, I'm not listen, you know, listen. Then think they're politics. And we know if you and I just gossip.
Yeah, I see you strapped down though. Latoya, well strapped down.
Greetings,
Oh, me,
Commissioner.
right?
I see you well strapped down. I think
Yeah,
Charmaine.
oh, accident.
Eh?
No, I said I see a lot of traffic, but we just get off of one exit and kind of bypass the accident. There's an accident outbound.
You be careful.
Can anyone share the link to the OTNW page for some reason? I don't know why it not allow me to share it over here.
You know, it not
Or it
talking to
seems
me.
like from a page you can't share it.
Good night, Comrade Harrison.
Good night, Comrade Thomas. Good night. I'm okay. You look younger since your birthday, man. You don't look like you get older. What is this? Eh?
My grandfather, them spruce me up. You saw me on there?
Yes.
Remember the term,
Yeah.
Bruce, Bruce the term, they can use that term then.
Say that again?
The term Bruce away that Bruce they use, they can't in the 07. You can't use that term there.
I hear you clearly. You know, I am wondering. I'm wondering if our guest is having problem. I'm wondering if our guest is having problem joining us.
I don't think no one should.
Yeah. That iPhone, you think if I find out who that iPhone was?
I think iPhone is the iPhone 13. What's her name? She don't have up her name, but she recently joined us.
Oh. If I try to go and find his number, would I lose this link?
No, man.
All right. I'm going and try and find him number.
Just don't click close. Just don't leave the you can get a move to go ask.
All right. I'll just number. I'm gonna try and dial him.
Please hold while we connect your call. Low battery. Low battery. Low battery.
Shut up.
Put your phone on charge. Or
No, it's a different phone. Comrade. Hello, good evening. How are you?
Yes, sir.
Are you having any problem?
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Yes, that's great. No, the phone that I get you on is not the one that you link with. Yeah, but the phone that I have, I can't link. It is not. Did you try to get into the Zoom?
I don't know.
All right. It's a link is sent to you, and you could press that link and you would come in. It will probably ask you for your name and then you will join us.
For what?
For your name. Look under you.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. Let's talk to the doctor, another guy to understand this thing here.
I know. Okay.
Hello, good night.
Good night. How are you?
Yeah. Good night.
Good night. Great.
Good. How are you?
I'm not as good as you sound.
Hello?
I say I'm not as good as you sound.
Oh, okay. Do you want to send a link to his email?
No, we sent a link to his WhatsApp. Look in his WhatsApp. We said,
all right. Let me see. Okay. Hold on. Okay. All right. Can you do me a favor?
yeah.
Type for the link so that we click on it, because you just have the details there.
It doesn't have a link should be there. There you just click on it.
No, I see the link. I see the link. All right, let's see what I can do.
All right, the link that.
How I can get to join. It's now? It's to join now?
Yes, it's to join now. Where it says 9 o'clock.
Okay, or 9 o'clock.
All right, well, you can join now. No, join now, not 9 o'clock, because it's 9 o'clock our time. Join now.
Okay, I'll get into join now.
Okay. All right. All right, comrade, we'll swap him. Comrade Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Our chaplain, Comrade Nortover, was supposed to pray and him not here. So can you do that for me?
Lord.
Once
Sure.
Richard get here.
I will try.
We can't do more than try.
Mm.
Oh, you, Miss Grace, is the one with the iPhone.
What
That?
happened?
No, when it first came up, we was wondering and we had lost you.
Yeah. The Margaret. There's no Margaret.
She's supposed to come in and
She come on and drop off.
she drop off.
She went come on earlier on and drop off.
Right.
She was here a few minutes ago.
What birthday celebration?
Uh-huh.
What
You
birthday
don't,
celebration?
you don't see the background, we celebrating OT birthday.
Okay. Okay. Oh, we get it now.
And his son is going to come on as soon as them get the connection.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So the PM was in Riversdale today, eh? Sorry, not the PM. I'm not PM yet. Him is the leader.
Yes, we've been Northeast St. Catherine.
Yeah, that's Riversdale. And when PNP can open an office in Riversdale.
Who is AA? Somebody's trying to get in and not getting in. That's
Yeah,
not
that's
over.
that's Richard.
That's who?
That's Comrade.
No, this is a 404 number. Is that not over?
No, that would be Erdel.
Okay, he's trying to get in and not getting in.
I don't see. I just saw Richard a while ago.
Okay, okay. Somebody sent him the link.
Is in now?
Somebody sent Erdel the link, so he probably will try.
Or he probably used it. I was trying the old one. But I just saw Richard name and I hit admit and I don't see him.
Yes, he's here. He's here. Oh my God.
Comrade Richard is here. Okay.
His mic is muted.
Comrade Fairclough, good evening. Can you hear us?
Probably muted.
He has to unmute his mic.
Yeah, he looks like he's going from quiet
He has to
Hear it.
unmute himself. He's muted. He's muted.
All right, he's on. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay.
You can sit back, cause this is you here up here, so you can see it.
Okay, right. Thank you. Okay, I'm here.
Okay,
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And you come through to form that the technology challenge you and I.
I am more than challenged, friend. I'm illiterate when it comes to the technology today.
We know, but we get through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm gonna do, Colin, you there?
Who's there?
All right, comrades, I'm gonna start. But as usual, as this PNP practice, call this meeting to order, and we have a word of prayer from Comrade Thomas.
Let us pray. Oh, Father God, as we are gathered here this evening to mark the birthday anniversary of our founding father, Comrade Owen Theodore Fairclough.
Osmond
Fairclough. We ask your blessings on our deliberations. May whatever we do be done to your honor and your glory, Father God. Bless each and every one of the participants, Father. These are the mercies we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Good evening again, comrades, and welcome. It is indeed my pleasure to have you in our presence to celebrate the birthday of the great Osmond Fairclough. In my mind, he's the great Osmond Fairclough. As some of you may know and some of you are new, we start this overseas group of the People's National Party, and we chose to name it in the honor of the two founders, one, the founder of the party itself, and the other, the founding president. So we use their first two initials. So that's why we have OT and NW, right? Our ambition is to spread the PNP message abroad and to assist the PNP with funding as much as we can. So this evening, we felt we would ask the son, one of the surviving children of OT, to speak to us a little bit about his father. Not a little bit, I'm sure there's a lot he can tell us about his dad. And take us for this technology is challenging me. All right. So we don't have much time. So without ado, as others come along, we'll admit them as we can. Right. So Richard is on the line. You can all say good evening to him individually.
Good evening, comrade. Yeah.
Comrade.
Overseas comrade.
Yes, that's what we are. So Richard, you can go ahead.
Am I being heard? Sorry.
Hello.
Hello. Who wants to start the questions?
No, Richard, I wanted to give us a quick overview of your father's background.
Okay.
And then after you finish, we will ask questions.
Okay. Well, you know, he was born in 1904. You know that, right?
Correct.
He was born in Betheltown in Westmoreland, okay? He did not know his father. His mother was a gardener. Her name was Gardner, and his father never surfaced, never came to him or to acknowledge him and so on. But he literally grew himself. His mother, you know, guided him, and he grew himself, and he was literally, at the beginning, self-taught, okay? And he, through the Baptist, because his mother was a Baptist, he got into Calabar, okay? Calabar was founded in 1912, and he was born in 1904. So I would guess that he would have got to Calabar when he was about probably 13 or 14, okay? And spent his entire time there until he became 19, a young man, and he worked on the sugar estate in Fordley in St. Thomas. One of the first jobs he had as a tallyman. He liked accounting. He had the accounting ability, mathematical ability to do accounting and what have you, you know. Arithmetic in those days it was called, right? And he worked there. And then he had the ambition to work in a bank. So he approached the bank. One of the Barclays Bank was the English colonial bank on King Street. I don't know if you're aware of that. And he went there and applied for a job. But the manager, the Englishman, told him that the only job here for a black man is to stand up at the door, sit at the door and stand up and open the door for the white people, literally. So that it never came off the ground. But he made up his mind to go to Haiti to find his way as a black man, because Haiti was a black republic, the first black republic. And he went there. I can't tell you exactly what year he went there, but he was in his 20s. And he worked there, I think, for about 4 or 5 years. He spoke French pretty well, pretty fluently. He learned French. And he came back to Jamaica as a young man, I think approaching, you know, like late 20s and so on. He worked at the Water Commission as a clerk with Frank Hill. I don't know if you're aware of the Hills, the 3 H's.
Yes,
right?
we are.
Frank, Ken is the oldest one. Frank is my old man's age, and Richard Hart. And there's a man called Arthur Henry. And they're all expelled. They're all expelled in the 30s because they were they said that they were communists. Because at the time, remember that they're fighting a war in Europe. The Second World War was on the beginning. The Germans invaded Poland in about 39, I believe. And the British came into the war full time. All right. So the British were concerned that they were preaching communism and what, which is rubbish. They're just preaching socialism. All right. So Frank Hill was one of his best friends, and Frank, in fact, is my older brother, Chris. You know, we call him Kit, who was born in 38. His godfather, Frank, is his godfather. So you see, you know, how close we are with the families, you know. Anyhow, he approached N.W. Manley to start a party because he thought that the Jamaican people were very mature, they're intelligent, highly intelligent. We had one of the finest civil services in the world, in the Commonwealth world, let us put it that way. All right? Only bested by perhaps Australia and New Zealand and Australia, right? Which were white democracies, all right? And, you know, the Africans and so on were really and truly way behind. You know, not that they were not educated, but they were not in that level. Anyhow, Manley told him that Jamaica's problems were social and economic, not political. He did not see the benefit of being independent, of, you know, in other words, breaking off from the British completely, right? The Commonwealth and the British control. And he thought that we should try and get self-government under the British control and try to bring the people up, develop their social first, and then from that would come the economic benefits, because the people become more educated, work better, you understand me, and develop the industries and what have you, you know. But, you know, he was a very stubborn man. Manley at first refused, you know, to be the leader of the party and to sort of verify having another party, you know. But at that time, the JLP was not founded, you know that. It was Bustamante at BITU, right? Yeah. He was a very stubborn man, so he pursued the issue with N.W. Manley. Every day he was a drum player, convincing him that, you know, Jamaica had the the people with the intellectual levels, high intellectual levels, to lead their own, to set up their own life standards, values, etc., and operate a country on their own. And eventually, agreed, and they eventually agreed. So hence the party was founded in 1938 at Broad Theatre. All right. And I would like to point out here that Bustamante was at that inaugural session, the founding session of the People's National Party, and he became a paid-up member of the People's National Party. Alexander Bustamante. Okay? For all the crap that he talked about. Crap. Anyway, so be it. So the party was founded, and all the people who the Florizel Glasspool, Wilzo Isaacs, Vernon Arnett, and then Nethersoul, Crab Nethersoul, of course, NW, the Hills, Frank and Ken, Richard Hart, Arthur Henry, Dr. Logan from St. Anne, know about Dr. Logan. There's a man called Robinson from Westmoreland, Sugarhead Robinson. He was one of the first MHRs for the PNP in Westmoreland. I can't remember everybody, excuse me, at 78, but I mean, they were all there. They were the ones who formed the PNP. And, it evolved from a situation where people were democratically elected. People had the right to voice their opinions. It was not a case where I am the boss, I am the autocratic man here, and I control everything, and you dare not question me. Like the JLP. The JLP formed their own Bustamante, and there was nobody else who could ever question Bustamante. He was the autocratic leader, and the rest of them followed him, whatever he said. If he wanted to put Cherry over Seaga, he did it. You understand what I mean? There is no election run, there are no delegates, there are no constituents and what have you for each, political area, right? And the PNP was founded on a totally democratic system, and the party functioned on that up to this day, right? People are voted in depending on their support from their their areas where they are in control, right? Constituents from their constituents, okay? So they voted the old man in. He was the first treasurer and general secretary. And he was general secretary for about probably 10 years until a man called Sidney Veach became the general secretary. But he was the treasurer of the party for 25 years. 25 years, a quarter of a century, until he said, no, I am done. I've had my run. It is time to step aside. And then I think in about 68 or so, he retired from that, and they voted in a general secretary, a treasurer, who was a Chinese man. I was in Germany at the time, but it was a Chinese man who was general secretary. Chinon, that's right. You have a good memory, Chinon. I came back and met him because when I left in 68, he wasn't there. And the old man was still pretty healthy when I left him, And then, of course, in 68, 70, 69, 70, then DK became the general secretary, and so on, DK Duncan. And a new group came in, the Tony Spalding's, the younger generation, which is inevitable, okay? But at no time did the old guard say, we're not leaving. The old man and NW said at the last party meeting they had, they said, look, we are done. NW spoke on behalf of all of them and said, this is a time for us to step aside. We have done the groundwork. We have laid the foundation. It is time for the younger generation to step up to the plate and guide the country further. And the PNP did leave a very firm foundation. Jamaica was never ever before that, up to that point, 55 to 1962, okay? was the most prosperous time in Jamaica's history, socially, politically, economically. You know, do you know that I don't know if you're around in that time. I was around. I was in the pound time, in the times of the pound, Jamaica pound. In that period, the Jamaica pound was worth $2.75 US. Are you aware of that? And bauxite, people that work with the bauxite industry just working 365 days a year. It never shut down. Nainin, for example, and Kaiser, they work 24 hours a day for 365 days a week, shipping out mining and shipping out the aluminum. All right? And the bauxite company up to that time, when the GLP were in power, Mr. Bustamante was literally giving it away for less than a penny a ton, or a penny and a half a ton. It is NWA that has started the welfare situation where you encourage people to make things like Jippy Jappa hat and so on. Each area you didn't have to be working in a government ministry or working with a business, with a merchant business or so, or in the bank or what have you. He said every village, in every parish could have their own independent economic, growth, dictated by contributing to the general, standards in the country, not only standards, but the economic environment and what have you. And like for the tourist industry, making hats and whatever, made in Jamaica, not in China like today. Right? You see? So he with the bauxite companies to pay more, a stipend, a far more, worthwhile stipend, which would go towards developing the country, particularly the social life in the country, the social development in the country, and its people, of course, not the country, but its people, because it is people that make a country. All right, not computers and machinery, because people make machinery to work for people, right? Which is what these idiots today can't understand. These little morons about him on digital, everything is digital. This idiot boy who is a finance minister and the stupid prime minister boy. You think digital can solve the problem? The problem is there same way, no matter what digital you have in it. Anyhow, so it went. So we, at the same time, they were in discussion with the British about where do we go? Where does the Commonwealth go from here? Because India had its independence already, you know that, from 1947, I do believe. Pakistan had broken from India because Pakistan was the Muslim part of India, and they had big riots there, and they fought each other. And the Pakistanis moved out en masse, millions of them, and went to their part, which they assumed is their part of India. And they set up Pakistan. Bangladesh was another offshoot again, from India. And the Africans were still sort of fighting to be recognized. Jomo Kenyatta. They wanted freedom, but the British wouldn't give them freedom because they wanted their minerals, obviously, right? They wanted their minerals, all the diamonds and the gold and what have you, and the other minerals that were there. And despite the fact that the Africans fought for the British in Europe in both world wars, and so did the Jamaicans, and so did some Trinidadians. We had Barbadians and some Trinidadians. We were the major people in there. Anyhow, NW went to Britain, and of course, he was highly respected as a lawyer in Britain, in the Commonwealth, and he was a veteran of the First World War. You know that.
Yeah.
He was highly decorated, in the First World War for bravery. He took people who were shot. He went out into the line of fire and pulled them back into the trench. That war was fought in trenches, not like today's modern warfare, where it's tanks and planes or what have you. And his brother died in that war. Did you know he had a brother called Roy Mandel? Did you know that?
Yes.
Roy died in the Battle of the Marne, I believe. Okay?
Yeah.
Manley was invited to come there in 59, 57 to Britain to discuss about where do they go from here. The British were suggesting that all the English-speaking islands form a federation. All right, like in Indonesia, they have a federation there between 3 or 4 of the countries in the Pacific there. Okay, and it would become not only just a federation politically speaking, but economically speaking. In other words, the British are saying, look, it is very difficult to deal with islands, with a single island. Their economies are too small, which is true. In today's days, economies of scale from 1970, it became economies of scale. That's why Brazil and those countries have taken us out of coffee and sugar, because we can't grow. Brazil, one part of Brazil alone is 200 times our size. All right. And Australia began to plant sugar after us, it's that kind of thing. So the British said, look, why not come together, form a federation, have a federal parliament, choose where you want to have it, have a federal parliament, have MPs from each country, right? Representing the parties, each political party in each country. In other words, I'm saying that you must merge your parties. Have your opposition in each country. You can have your elections, your local elections, and then you're going to vote for your immediate MPs and then for your federal MPs. That's how it was supposed to be. And the PNP agreed to it and so on, and NW. And Bustamante agreed to it. Bustamante was a member of the federal parliament. Okay? And he agreed to it. And then at the last minute, he backed out. He backed out. He realized that he was outgunned in intelligence, and he couldn't take it at all. He's a person that wants to run things on his terms. Okay? And if he can't have total controlling power, he ain't into it. So he backed out. And then he challenged Manley and said, Jamaica want to go alone. All right? Because at that time, there's no doubt about it. We were the leading country in the British Commonwealth in the West Indies. And in fact, I will tell you, in the world, in the Commonwealth world, because a lot of the people in the other Commonwealth countries, Singapore, for example, and so on, the British told them, if you want to see how to set up a civil service, go to Jamaica. We had one of the finest civil services in the Commonwealth. And I'm not joking about that. Canada, Australia were better than us. You understand me? Because they had the white, control. And of course, the British would send their people there and so on and what have you. And they had a deeper history than we did in terms of that. Being white, obviously. And even the Africans, all of them were told to come to Manly, go to NW Manly, go to Jamaica and see how it works, Anyhow, so Mr. Bustamante challenged Manly, and Manly said, Manly's a gentleman. Then all of the PM people they said, look here, we are going to put the vote to the people, a referendum. The people must vote whether they want the federation, whether they want to interface with the other British-speaking, English-speaking islands, and what have you. Fine. And the referendum was held. You were around in that referendum? You know about
yes, it? That's actually where I started my political activities. I used to light the lamp at the meetings.
Did you ever see the records of how the voting went?
No, I've never seen the records, but
how the voting went.
No, I just know we lost.
I can't give you because you're not here in Jamaica. I have the Daily Gleaner, which broke down parish by parish about the votes.
Wow.
I have it in our Gleaner there. It's falling apart, but it's still there. And I show it to people. I show it to a lot of people. Some people from America came here, and my son-in-law people, and I showed it to the young man who was interested in journalism. All right? If you look at it, the vote never went for whether it was for the federation question or not. It was strictly JLP or PNP. The whole of Clarendon vote for JLP. They never vote for federation, they vote for JLP. Nobody thought about that. That is Jamaican people. And Buster brought it down to that. Buster said that man, they had ships, Russian ships in Montego Bay. Remember the Cuban Revolution? And Russian ships stopped trading because the Americans dismissed Castro because they used Cuba as their, for their filth, for their filthy living and so on. And so the horrors for the American thugs and criminals, you know what I mean? And so on and thing. And the Coca-Cola was down there making big money and thing. And Castro said, I went to take away everything from old owner. You are capitalist exploiters. And they didn't like that, right? So when they turned against Castro, what could he do? He had to go to somebody else to help him, and he went to the Russians. So there are Russian ships bringing food and thing and oil from Russia and what have you, because the Americans had blockaded Cuba. All right, so he says that the Russians are in Montego Bay waiting to take over Jamaica, and Manley is their ally. Manley and the PNP. So
more things change, the more they remain the same.
So the Federation failed. So Manley went right away and said, no, sorry, before that, in 59, we got self-government from the British before the independent and the referendum thing, right? And Manley was the first premier of a self-governing Jamaica, all right? So we were on our own already. We dictated our own, we were able to negotiate trading terms with Britain and what have you to cement them, make it stronger and what have you. Yes, baby. All right, that's soon come. Yes, that's soon come, baby. The grandson. So all of that
very well.
Yeah, that's my last grandson, 4 years old.
Very well.
Yes. Yeah, so that is it, So we were self-governing already under the PNP 55 to 62. And then we had an election which was due, and after the referendum failed, Manley said they must call an election or a general election because their time was up. They had another year. And they called a general election, and of course, Bustamante won. And they led us into independence. Now, these idiots come and talk about Bustamante being the father of independent Jamaica. It's utter BS. It's rubbish. That's a lie. Bustamante never formed independent Jamaica. It was formed before. And that is what makes it so pathetic and the deceit that these people live with, that they turn things around. They don't even want to bring the full history of the country forward. You understand me? They want to build up their side, which is nonsense. They didn't do anything. They have done nothing for this country. And that's the God truth. They have done nothing for Jamaica, but bring it down from what was a high level to the lowest common denominator. All them want to do is promote dance hall as our culture. That's our culture. What about Louis Bennett? Where are we coming from? What about Una Morrison? All the people that we have, poets and writers and so on, and dance hall is our culture. What the hell with the dance hall? It's pathetic and it really annoys me, but I don't listen to it anymore. I just ignore them, So that's how we progressed from 62 and where we reached today. We end up in this world today where we had Cayman as our colony. We were given money by the British from a long time to give to Cayman. Cayman depended on us for money to run their affairs, their business affairs under the British government. Okay, they were a colony, but they were a little colony. Turks and Caicos were also our colonies. People don't know that. Yeah. And we sent judges and police to these countries, to these little islands every month to try their cases, criminal cases, and the civil servants to go and look at what they were doing with the money that the British were giving them to us. Right? Cayman can give us a loan today. We beg everybody in the whole West Indies here. We're begging. We're the biggest beggar in the West Indies. Till the little face the Trinidad woman says that if Jamaica thinks that we are they are our ATM. And the girl went to school here in Jamaica, The girl went to St. Andrew High School, The Indian girl. And she says that Jamaica is just a little begging country. You see? That is where we become. We are the lowest stage of our history. We are nothing. We are laughed at. Singapore came here in 75, 74, when Michael, 73, 74, when Michael had just one power about a year or two. Sorry, Benji, I soon come, darling. I soon come, darling. Give me a minute. Lee Kuan Yew came to a Prime Minister's Conference, Commonwealth Prime Minister's Conference. It's Michael Manley hosted here. I printed, because Patterson was just the minister at the time, I printed all the documentation to do with this meeting. And I know what I'm talking about, right? Lee Kuan Yew came here, and he came early before the other parliament leaders from the other countries. He came early, and he sat with Michael Mann and said to him, we are just trying to, lift ourselves out of the quagmire and to make ourselves into a country, a worthwhile country. We would like to sit down with you and find out what Jamaica did from the 50s, the 40s, the 50s coming up to get themselves to the situation. And Michael talked to him and showed him. He met all the people who at that time were civil servants, men of honor, men of integrity. In those days, the permanent secretary controlled the minister. The minister could not go and send out 10,000 pounds for this project or that without going through the permanent secretary. And the permanent secretary, I do not agree with it, I'm not signing on it. It's done. The minister have to come again. Them a thief today. You know that. I don't have to say anything. Every day there's another scandal. Right? Every day there's another scandal. They have no self-respect. They have no respect for the people that they're supposed to be leading. All they want is money. And then, it doesn't matter what they do for this money. Yeah. And it really hurts me, And Lee Kuan Yew, look at Singapore today. Singapore going to buy out Jamaica with its pocket money. Right? And it's a little place. It's no bigger than Kingston and St. Andrew. It's a little island, which was a swamp. Right? It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
Comrade, I feel your pain.
No, man, I fed up with it. No, I can't bother with it anymore.
I know, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the privilege to ask the first question, and I'm going to ask each of us that have a question to just raise your arm technically, and I will recognize you accordingly. But
you're the moderator.
Right. Here's the question in two parts. One, the major one is that we know the Manley family and Michael following his dad. One of the questions that I've always wondered is why you and your brother and your sister, who is still alive, did not venture into politics. And the second part is what you thought of Michael Manley when he was leading.
I know Michael Manley from a little boy. I like Michael Manley. Michael is a genuine person. Michael in his early years was a little irresponsible. My father knew him from a young... Michael came to Jamaica after the war from the Royal Canadian Air Force. He joined there. He wanted to go in the war to fly the RAF, and they wouldn't accept him. And he dropped out of London School of Economics. And in the late 45, he went to Canada, trying to get into the Royal Canadian Air Force. I don't think he got anywhere with that. But after the war was finished and everybody was demobbed and so on, he came back to Jamaica in, I think, about 48 or something. And his first job was with Daddy at Public Opinion, writing for the paper, Public Opinion, which is a paper that brought the PNP to fruition. Okay. He was a writer with Public Opinion. All right. And Daddy, of course, Daddy was a part of the Manley family, literally, Edna and so on, and NW and Douglas. But Douglas was an intellectual, very quiet guy, but he was, in many respects, much brighter than Michael intellectually in terms of studies and all that. But I think that everybody saw Michael as irresponsible in that he was a playboy. There is a personal thing which I won't go into about the party members and the wives and the this and the that. I'm not going to go into that, okay? Anyhow, when the vote was held in 68, when NW stepped aside, Glasspool, NW, the old man, Wilzo, and Nedesol died very young, and Arnett became the finance minister on the death of Nedesol and so on. But all the old ones, stepped aside. And Viv Blake was my old man's choice. He knew Blake from Worthington Terrace, where he married my mother. He was rooming there. He was boarding at Ladymus Square, with Worthington Terrace and Ladymus Square, 21, with my maternal grandfather and grandmother. All right, and that's how he met my mother, our mother. So Viv Blake lived on the same road. Viv Blake went to England, became a barrister, and he was a barrister in line as the most brilliant barrister after NW. Don't you know that? And he was a member of the PNP. The old man brought most of them into the PNP. His daddy's influence that brought him to the PNP. He brought in Viv Blake. Viv Blake lived beside us at Central Avenue in the 50s, I think. And he was going to run against Michael. Michael and he were the two contenders for the party presidency, and Daddy supported him. And Dudley Thompson and this gentleman here who was a barrister who Blake brought him up, David Core. You remember David Core?
David
Core
yes.
Came from England and was an apprentice of Viv Blake, you know. And he swore to Viv Blake that he would support him in the vote. He never did. He supported Michael. Anyway, Viv Blake lost to Michael, all right? So Michael was the first president to go up against the JLP. And, you know, he won. He won in the 70s. I came back from Germany in 70. He won, I think, in 72. When he won that massive, it was one of the biggest victories in this country's history. You understand me? Yeah. A lot of the people who are wealthy people supported Michael. And there's the same people turn against him. All right? Because Seaga, with the help of the Americans, said that he was going to the mountaintop with Castro and all kind of crap and supporting Machel in Mozambique. And they're all communists. They're all communists, including South Africa. ANC was a communist organization, a terrorist. Did you know that the Americans labeled it a terrorist organization?
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
They're the biggest bunch of bloody hypocrites in the world. A bunch of assholes, fools. And Mandela was a terrorist. Mandela was a terrorist. Right? And that's why them still racist to this day. They're backward people, redneck, you know, little idiots who run from England, kick them out, the little thieves and criminals, and send them to America and Australia. And they became the backbone of American history and kill off the Indians, kill off the buffalo and things. You know, these ignoramuses. Anyway. So, my dear sir, Michael won. Seaga brought him down. And Michael said, I am coming back. And he did come back and he put Seaga out of business, you know. And from there, Jamaica has just gone down. Because I said to this day, I say that Jamaica went awry when we got independence from Britain, which was merely a matter of signing a document. It was merely, we were already independent. We were already self-serving. We were already, in the British eyes of the British, Manley should have been a person. Manley is a person they talk to, not Bustem. Bustem is a buffoon. He's a bloody buffoon. The British said that. They said that Bustamante was not, they couldn't talk to him. They was not worthy of being spoken to. They couldn't discuss anything. He was a buffoon. That's why they offered Manley a Sir knighthood to, you know, same time as Buster. And Manley said no, with the greatest of respect. If I want to sever ties with Britain and have our own independent operations as a country, as a sovereign country, it is wrong of me to take your accolades and, you know, your what have you. Buster jump down and go up on the knee for the damn thing right away.
We get to there. We get to there. But what did you thought of Michael as a leader, though? And why didn't you guys enter politics?
I think Michael's mistake was that he trusted people too much in the early years, in the very early years. He wanted to lift people up, and he gave a lot of these, they weren't dons then, but these supposedly community leaders, you know, they didn't really have any respect for themselves and so on. A lot of them were just thugs. Let us be frank about it. But what he wanted to do was to bring up the country from the bottom up, you see? And he went for the agricultural development and Jamal, which is a very good thing. A very good. He was really following Castro, you know. He was really following Castro. So a lot of these guys that he sent to Cuba to try to build them up, they were called brigadistas. No, they thought they were there to have a revolution to make themselves rich. You understand what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
And that is where Michael, he didn't fail. He didn't fail. I think that his loyalty wasn't rewarded. All right. And then the rich people now, the brown skinned people of money and things, led by Seaga, said, oh, he want to turn the country into a communist country. And the Americans supported him. All right, supported Seaga. And then you say Seaga failed, and the Americans turned against Seaga. Why? We know that. He was doing him thing with the drugs business, and the Americans realized that. And that is the truth, you know. So they voted Seaga after in the 80s, they voted him out. And then and I must say this much of Patterson, the best thing he ever did in his life was they put him into the bush for 3 terms. That's all Patterson ever do, you know. All right.
I hear you. Anthony, I will come to you. But I want to also understand why you guys, you know, your brother or your sister didn't
well, to tell you the truth, I was turned off by this thuggery that went on in the 70s and 80s. Very turned off. And I came back from Germany, started my own. I worked with City Printer, you know, with my daddy's place, so that went down after he died. I started my own as a printer. I'm a printer, okay? And I started my own as a printer and so on at my family home. And I had a lot of PNP friends who helped me and so on to set me up and things. You know, they're around. Michael, I helped them to set up Jamal in the technical part of Jamal with the machine or whatever and thing. Anyhow, I said, you know, the truth of the matter, I don't feel comfortable exposing my family to this kind of thing. You know, the petty, you know, thuggery that went on about, you know, you have on a red, like you have an orange thing and the green. We never had that when I was a young man. We never had it when I was in my 20s. We never had that. There was nothing about color, green and orange and thing. Crap. They used to have teasing of each other. Like in Manley's time in the 50s, the PNP had a broom and they had a little slogan with a broom. Sweep them out. Sweep out Buster. And then Buster said, Manley, a gully government, because why he built Sandy Gully government, Sandy Gully, he paved it. And that saved a lot of bridges being washed away and so on, and land being lost. And so, you understand me? And Buster Manley lampoon them and laugh at him and build all them do a build gully. Well, you see. So that's why I said, my brother, he was an engineer, and he said, no, I'm not into this thing. And daddy's business was mashed up by politics. You know? The JLP government with that is when Buster was involved. I don't know if you heard about an issue where a guy called Jones, Ken Jones, you hear about it? His father, Fred Jones.
Yeah. We know about him.
900 acres or more, that's right. For them Jones estate. And Jones, one of the sons, a bright guy, he was in the JLP and he was Buster Manley liked him. He was Buster blue-eyed boy. He was touted to become the next leader when Buster retired. And they had a party meeting in Montego Bay, all right? And the guy he fell off a balcony. He fell off a balcony at Shaw Park Hotel, at Gloucester Hotel or something like that.
Yeah.
And we have more than rumor. John Maxwell wrote an article in the Public Opinion about it, questioning the input of Seaga. D.C. Tavares, who was a thug from a long time, Clem Tavares. You know that? He's a thug. The first man carry a gun in politics in this country. A revolver. And
I thought it was Seaga.
No, sir. No, man. Seaga come along. Clem Tavares was carrying a gun from 1948, 49. A dangerous man. Seaga, Tavares, and this man called Eldemar, Dr. Eldemar, the Montego Bay doctor, was a drunkard. They were all drinking at the Yellowbird Club the night. And Eldemar was stone drunk. He's the one that's supposed to declare the man dead. He couldn't declare himself dead. You understand me? And John Maxwell wrote about it, the whole article and so on, that it was a cover-up and what have you. And the Siaga and the Shearer sued public opinion. And they won the case. And of course, at the time that the Gleaner was totally against public opinion, totally anti-PNP. You know that because it was controlled by the Ashnines, who were in Busman's pocket. Sir Neville was the first ambassador to Washington when we got our independence on bull crap, you know. So there it was. So Daddy had to pay them much at that time. I think it was about probably 20,000 pounds or 15,000 pounds. Just plenty of money them day over money that. Okay. And his business, and they took away all the government work, all the printing that he had from long time. They said that all government advertising and printing was to be banned from city printing and public opinion. So he had already got a machine to print a newspaper. He wanted to print a daily paper. So that was it. So business went down. So and he had died. So he had died. And I said, you know, if he was there, I probably would have gone with the PNP. But that can't change. I grew as a PNP child. My brother, my sister. We support the PNP in other ways. And I will always to the day I did.
Okay. Anthony, a question from Anthony.
Good evening, Comrade Richard.
Yes, sir.
Question to you now. You said your daddy was the founder of the PNP, but he encouraged Norman Manley to become leader. Why was he ever involved in representational politics? And you said he was
never. He never ran for in any election. He never ran. He made it his mission to build the party from the back. He was a backroom man. He did everything for it. He went out and he got people involved who would put money into the PNP. He helped to develop the infrastructure of the PNP financially and in its structure, okay? And he was happy to do that. He never wanted to be on the front line to go and be an MHR. It was an MHR first in those days, all right? He didn't want that. And he never even wanted John Maxwell, who worked with him for years, and was a person who admired him a lot. You know John Maxwell, he was a writer, a very, very famous journalist in Jamaica. John Maxwell said to me that in 1970, if the old man had lived, Michael wanted him to become the Governor General after Glasspool, or before Glasspool, okay? And John said he would never have taken the job because he was always a person who was very quiet and in the background. He didn't want any accolades and so on, you know? So that was it. His job was to build up the party, to have the country properly represented in the world, and that the country will develop from the bottom up, not from the top, destroying the bottom. That you make everybody come to one. Them can't even read and write today. You can have an education system that you can't read and write. The PNP started the first common entrance thing was the PNP to bring poor children into the high school, into the major high schools like JC and KC and Calabar and so. It is the PNP that did it in 1957. And Glasspool was the education minister. I sat the first exam, about 20 of us at half A3 primary school, correct? And I was not given a scholarship because they said my father could afford to send me to high school. It was those children who needed it, right? And what the JLP do with it? Wreck it. They wreck it. Until they go upside down, people can't read it right now, you know? So that was it, my son. That is the situation.
Who's next?
I'm sorry,
I'm just looking for who else have a question.
Another question? From whom?
If there's no one else that have a question.
I don't see anybody.
I don't see anybody, and I don't.
Nobody is interested in hearing about the 4-H's being kicked out of the party and all. Nobody asked about that. You know that the 4-H's were people who, Frank Hill and Ken Hill, right, were stalwart trade union people. Ken Hill represented what was called Moonlight City, right, Dongle, where dirt poor people lived in the 20s and 30s there. And he ran against Bustamante. Bustamante's first constituency was down there. And in 2 elections, Kenny beat his ass, run him out. And that's why he had to run to Clarendon. And he never looked back from Clarendon. He couldn't go back at town again. Ken Hill. And I think it was unfortunate, and my father did too as well, that this had to happen. But I think a lot of it was the colonial government saying that in the war, in that time the war was on, fascism was a bad word, communism was a bad word. All right? Both Stalin and Hitler were, you know, considered to be criminals, international criminals. And from they said about that they were socialists and what have you. They were frowned on by the British government. And they said that they were too extreme. They're not welfare socialists. They're socialism on the verge of being communists. All right? And you know, Richard Hart was a white man, you know. You know that. Richard Hart was a Jew, a white Jew.
Henry too, wasn't he?
Yes. But a very nice man, a very decent man. He never wanted money or anything. He wanted his country to develop. He gave everything that he had for his country to develop. And Frank and Ken were good people.
Guys, I don't want to dominate this, but until I get another question. Richard, what kind of socialist was your father?
My father was what you call a democratic socialist. Okay? My father believed in the will of the people to dictate, to run the country with proper guidance. All right? My father believed in that. But he believed that the country must adopt welfare principles. Okay? Health, education must be run and financed by the government. Okay? You understand me? So those are the things that he particularly put the emphasis on. All right? Education, wealth, education, health, and the people's welfare. That would make the people better. Right? But that was what it is. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Phil Holmes. I know Phil Holmes is here, and he had done a tribute to your father. Phil, do you have a question?
I have something to say to Comrade Fairclough.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know if you remember me, but we met in 2010 at just before the conference of a party conference at the party headquarters. I wrote and read a tribute to your father. We spoke, and I promised to get a printed version of it sent to you. I don't think you're living in Jamaica at the time, but somehow I think I lost connections with you, and I wasn't able to fulfill that promise. So hopefully after this Zoom meeting, I can get some contacts and some information and can get it printed and sent to you.
Sure, I'd appreciate that.
You remember that?
I don't remember 2010. May God listen, I'm 78 years old now, you know. 2010 seemed like just yesterday. You know, but yes, I'd appreciate it, you know. What I will do is I'm going to ask my children to send you the email address. All right?
Okay.
And you can just send me. And my daughter-in-law, she will take it off for me and print it and give it to me. Okay?
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Good.
Yeah. Sure. But there is something I would like to send you guys this young lady whose father did the Harder They Come, made a movie. You know the guy Hensel?
Perry Hensel.
His daughter some years ago in Portia's when she was in charge of the PNP, when she was president. His daughter Justine did a research thing. She came to me and we spoke for quite a while. And she did a research and found a recording that was done in New York in 1930 something, about 1937 or so, with the old man. And they asked him, it was an interview where they asked him, what are your plans for what are you trying to do for Jamaica? What are your plans in the development of Jamaica? What do you see wrong with Jamaica under the colonial system with the British? What would you like to see happen to develop the country to an independent country? And he did a recording and she sent it to me. I have my son have it here. So what I have to do is to try and get a recording done and send it to you. You see, I am sorry to say that I am totally at sea with the technology today.
You're not the only one.
Ignorance, 100%. But they can do it. My children can do it. My daughter is here, to my son and my daughter are here, and my grandkids, you know.
Can you let us see them in the picture? Tell them to
because
show them.
Because they're outside, they're talking, so we can't even bring them.
I hear that.
You know where I am? I'm not. My son has daddy's desk. Daddy's desk.
Okay.
from 1940. Okay, from 1940. And
Wow.
I gave it to him. He's Owen John Delano, Fairclough. You know. I wanted to call him OT, you know, but I couldn't find a name that, you see, he born in 75. I don't want to give him a whole name. Osman is a rather old name. So I said, all right, the nearest it is Owen John Delano. Because I have John Delano in my middle initials. All of us have middle initials. My brother was Henry Christopher Anthony. You know where he's named after? Henri Christophe, the leader of the Revolution in Haiti. And Daddy admired it, all right? So he is Henry Christopher Anthony. My sister is Gail Elizabeth Ann, after the Queen. So you see there's a nice little balance there, right? Elizabeth Ann. And I am Richard John Delano, okay?
Richard Delano, right?
All of my grandsons have John Delano in the middle. All of them have John Delano, you know, so that is it.
I got a follow-up, Comrade Thomas. So
go ahead.
Comrade Fairclough, one of my pet peeves to hear leaders of the PNP, top level leaders of the PNP refer to Norman Manley as the founder of the PNP.
They're quite right. They're ignorant. They don't know the history. Golding is the only one. Golding has Patterson knew. What I have a problem with him. He knew. You want me to tell you the story about him? When he was a young, he was born in Westmoreland, and he gravitated to town and so on. And Daddy met him, and Daddy said, "This is a bright young man, and he needed help. He came from a poor upbringing, just like my father." And Daddy identified him and said, "This is a bright young man." Sorry?
Go to your bed. Go to your bed. Go back up to your bed.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
Go back up to your room. And go
Daddy
to your
wanted
bed.
to bring him.
Yeah, it's nice.
To develop him, help him develop. So he got him to Calabar.
Yeah.
He got him into Calabar, right? Because Daddy is a Calabar boy. And he got him into Calabar. He also got him a scholarship from Sir Hewfoot, the English governor, right? From in the 50s now, the late 50s, to do law in England, to go to Lincoln's Inn and whatever it is to do law. And, you know, and my brother went to England in 57 to a place called Metropolitan Vickers to do engineering. He was an electrical engineer, and he was an apprentice there through the same Sir Hewfoot, who was a very close friend of my old man, and a very nice man, a very decent man, right? And Patterson never acknowledged it after the old man died. He was a pallbearer, the old man's funeral. He never acknowledged it again. He never did. And he kept that situation about what he gained, what the old man did for him. He never mentioned it to the PNP at all. The entire time he was there, he never mentioned it. He never mentioned the old man's name. Richard Hart did a little lecture at the in about 2005 or something, I believe, at the party headquarters, right? Richard Hart. And he said the same thing, that the PNP have not acknowledged O.T. Fairclough's the part he played in developing the PNP from nothing. Right? You see what I mean? And
I understand because
don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. And that he said to me before he died, he said, you know, I have now learned, and I cannot believe how disloyal people can be. Patterson was for himself. It was all for PJ and his clones, his friends. And I mean that. People, my friends in Canada who there and in America tell me that, you see the American, you know, that them have an American group that was there for my old man's time, which went up until Patterson's time, who supported the PNP financially for years. And from Patterson coming and stopped, it fell apart. It fell apart. You know about that group. You know about that group.
I know the group, but Richard, I'm going to disagree on that one.
Well, whatever you say, you have your own.
No.
I am telling you what I know about the man.
Yeah, right. But on that one, and that particular group, I think the reason why they lost their strength was that when we lost in 1980, they divorced themselves from us, saying that they don't represent the PNP, they represent Jamaican nationals, because at that time the leadership of that group was also convinced that the PNP was going communist, and that was what led to their downfall.
I don't know from that end, but you could be right. From
the Progressive League here, are we the Progressive League, right?
The Progressive League we're talking about. Who were
they make a Progressive League. That is
they
exactly
make a
the
Progressive League. And I also want
That's
to spell a myth to that I grew up with, saying that the Progressive League was the ones that started the PNP. And I have to admit,
no, they never started the PNP. That's not
right,
true.
but after I know they and Domingo were present at the meetings that your father used to have.
That's right.
When they were talking about building the
And
political
W. Du
party,
Bois
right?
played a
But the
part.
thing is,
He corresponded with them a lot as well.
The thing though is, because this is my opinion, because your father took a background role. Growing up, I never know about OT
That is
Fairclough.
true. You know,
Right?
a lot of people didn't know. That is
Right.
true.
We all
That
think it's manly. So I would be forgiving to the party itself in its late and reluctant.
No, but I'm going to go back to the
recognize
Patterson era, the Patterson thing. Patterson knew better.
Okay.
Patterson he told me this person, my mother died, you know. Right? Which was the 19-something she died. He said to me called me on the phone and said, I heard that your mother had died and so on. And I don't know if you know, says he, in his little way. He has a way about him. I don't know. He said, I don't know if you're aware, but your father is responsible for me becoming a lawyer. I told some PNP youth a week ago. That is the second tenure. You know. So tell me something. Why couldn't he have thought of something before as a party's offer in promoting the history of the party? Why wouldn't he do it? He never did it. He never made an effort to do it. And when Richard Hart came and gave a lecture there, not one of them, except for Peter Phillips, came to that thing. Women, Pickersgill, PJ, none of them came. And they were the top, you know, the guinea gogs of the party. No, I find that disgusting. When Mommy died, the PNP party, what her name was, the general secretary, this lady.
Maxine Wilson?
Maxine.
They never even sent a letter saying acknowledge the death of Otis Fairclough with them. You hear me tell you? And I remember my brother just laugh. We just laugh at them, ignore them. He was a pallbearer at that school in the 1970s, you know, PJ. A young PJ with him afro and thing. All of us have afro them there. Right? Yes, at Holy Cross Church. Right? Yeah. No, this country full of hypocrisy, you know. The Baptists refused my mother to bury him. Leo Riney was at the Baptist church. All right. And when she called him looking about the funeral, she called him said, oh, he never came to church. He never came to church, so I can't bury him. No, she called the Catholic. She's a Catholic. Leo McElhaney, the white bishop from Boston, was the one in charge of the church. And he said, of course I read. I know him. I used to talk to him about politics all the time. We were very good friends. And the Catholics did it. That is a hypocrisy of our people.
Comrade Chair, before you move to Charmian, one quick point. Before you move to Charmian, Comrade Fairclough, Norman Mann is on record saying that he is not the author of the party. He's on record saying that. I don't understand how people in the party can't get that.
Yes, he said it, and they still can't get it.
Right.
Golding called me there about 2 or 3 months ago, and the same young man, Paul Well, who was a nice young fella, I met him and so, and I'm sorry about what's happened to him and all. But he said to me, you know, sir, I'm sorry, I've never met Mr. Fairclough's family. I never even knew Mr. Fairclough was the founder of the PNP. He said he was honest. He was being honest. I could see in his face. He wasn't chatting, he wasn't bullshitting. He was very honest. He never knew. You know, all to become McNeil thinking father, Dr. McNeil is the founder. It's crap. You're these little idiots. But I say, it's all right. I say, enjoy yourself. Have your fun. I don't listen. Daddy would not have wanted it any other way. He never wanted any accolades and, you know what I mean?
I hear you. Comrade, we have a young lady, Comrade Arson. I have a question for you.
Sure.
It's not really a question, comrade. It's an observation and something that being in the party for so long, there is not a lot of people who really knows that Comrade Fairclough was so involved. I knew of it based on because I saw, and it's what you were saying now, I paid keen attention to it because a lot of the things that you are saying now, we didn't know. I found out, by the way, that he was part of. But this is something that I would say if you don't know where you're coming from, then you don't know where you're going.
Quite
And
true.
so this is the and I'm gonna say it honestly, this is the reason why we are having so much spin-off in our party and so much of this, because we really don't know where we are coming from.
Right,
and if we listen to what you said, and I know Comrade Phil said he would give you his hard copy. I think I remember Comrade Phil when he read that that thing about Comrade Fairclough. But I would love to see an article of something that you just said. I would love to see it, because a lot of persons, even when our now leader Golden was talking about having a OT Fairclough
foundation.
foundation, a lot of people was asking, so
Who
what
is this
OT
man?
Fairclough have to do with it?
That's right.
So with even that, the party still has not explained who
That's
really
quite
is
true.
OT Fairclough.
True.
And I
That's
think
true.
it's time now for us to know where we're coming
Yeah,
from,
yeah,
what the principles that the party was from, and what they wanted to see a Jamaica to be and a party to be. So something like this should be something that we could open a forum on, just get something done about it. That's my observation, because I
agree with
really
you.
learned
I
a
agree
lot.
with you. I think it should be. I think it should be brought out, and I know even a little pamphlet, even through GIS, but and so on. But you see, the problem is that the present government, we're still political tribes. We're tribes. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't have it on GIS. It would have to be a part of the PNP to come back, and they would do it, because I think Golding would do it. But I have some documentation, because a lot of people say to me, the younger generation, say, what is the party's philosophy?
Exactly.
Nobody has said what the party's philosophy is today.
Exactly.
Right? And I know where it's coming from. I have books, which I gave to Burchell Whiteman, the party's manifesto of 1944, when we had the first, adult suffrage election in 44. And Daddy printed them, and I had about 6 of them, and I gave some to the PNP. I don't even know if I can find them. You understand? There are a lot of things I gave them, photographs of the 55 government. The girl, DK Duncan daughter, she threw it away. I don't know what she did with it. I said to her, take the photograph, make a picture, and put it in the office there, in the PNP headquarters. But give me back the original, please. I never seen it again. Right? They didn't even have a picture of the old man, It's me give Paul Burke a picture of the old man for them to put in there. But I'm not begging anybody anything, and I don't want anybody to think that I am begging them recognition for my father to recognize them. If the people don't feel that they're committed enough to acknowledge those who went before and those who formed and founded the party with your own time, money, right, and influence, okay? Then, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as I said, if you don't know where you're coming from, you can't know where the hell you're going to. Okay? You understand what I mean? And that is where the situation is today in this country with everything.
Before I go to the next question, let me just say that is the reason why this organization has reformed. It was named the way it was named, so that we can get the background of where we're coming from, and the history of how we developed to be where we are. And I must say, the current General Secretary, it stays thinking very favorable. We started from Paul Burke time. And we went through him, and we went through Comrade Julian. Comrade the Doctor is now more favorable, looking to getting us established as a group. And what we plan
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
And is to highlight what your fathers and others did, including, because my understanding was that your father had to pursue and had a lot of resistance when he pursued Norman Manley. Within the group formation.
Manley wasn't really interested.
Wasn't interested.
He wasn't interested. Basically, he was not interested.
Right.
Edna Manley, funny enough, Edna Manley played a very distinct part in influencing him. Edna Manley came here, and I lift my hat to her, because she, the junior, the institute had a junior department, started in must be about 1940. okay? I used to go down there as a child. Daddy used to send us down. My brother went there as well. It started in her garage at Drumblare, you know.
You're referring to the Institute of Jamaica, Comrade Richard?
Well, Tony make him.
No, he said the Institute, but is it the Institute of Jamaica?
Institute of Jamaica on East Street.
Okay, great.
Right, opposite where they had, you know, the big one was on the left-hand side when you go. It's a one-way street, okay, going down to the sea. The left-hand side was a big part of the institute. On the right-hand side was the junior department, right? And a lady, Verity, a man called Bob Verity was in charge. And he had a lady who used to help him calm and something like that. I can't remember her last name. But that is where it started. But it originally started at Drumblare in Mrs. Manley's garage at Drumblare. And she brought the children from Grantspen, 4 roads, all of there, young children. And I went to live at Central Avenue with my father and mother bought the property in 53. And I went there as well. Rachel was there, Michael's daughter, all of us. Yeah, and Mrs. Manley had a housekeeper called Mrs. Boyd, and her children were there as well. And we all learned from Mrs. Manley how to paint, right? How to do clay modeling and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every Saturday morning, and she influenced NW a lot to get into the thing and, you know, to get the country going. She said the country had a lot of talent. And she said to people here like Albert Hewitt, don't paint European people, paint Black people. Don't paint what you think a human should look like. You are a human being, you're a beautiful human being. Paint yourself. And she told them, yeah. She made a lot of these people you see there. It is her influence that brought them into the art world, Edna Manley. At least them named something after her.
Yes, well, they would, because the Manley family is what we all think was the backbone of the PNP. So as I was saying, let's wrap up. This is why this group is going to try and recognize the work of all of your pioneers. Anthony, I see your hand, but I'm going to ask Tony if you have a question. I know you're here, and after Tony, Anthony, come back.
Yeah. But what I will do, I'm going to try and get documents. Whatever I have from the past, I'm going to try and put it together, a collection of the documents.
After this, I'm going to follow up with communication so where you can send us, or we can contact and work together.
Yeah, because I want to leave shortly. I go to my bed before 10 o'clock at night time. I'm old.
Oh, okay then.
Yes.
Okay then.
Anyway, go ahead.
Tony?
No, go ahead.
Tony, what I will do, I'll take Anthony's question and then I'll ask you to give us a vote of thanks.
Yes,
Richard.
go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I don't have a question, but more like some point. You mentioned that Norman Manley was the first premier of Jamaica. When I was in high school at Rusty, that was what has been said. But since recently, they have done, I understand there's a more revised edition of the social studies book that we use, and that part is completely edited. They're not teaching again as premiership. They're only teaching from 62 onwards. And next thing about now, regarding your father and his part, it was Comrade Horace and Tony that let me know about OT Fairclough when I was a part of the YU on Facebook.
Comrade Burke.
No, man, no, Comrade Horace. Horace Thomas right here and Tony. And then know about OT.
Okay.
I mean, some discussion we have on Facebook and then Horace now. Something we're going to Horace bring up into it, so we never know anything about. Many of us never know about OT Fairclough any of that. We know the history, but what we hear about the history part of from old man Horace right here. So as me basically young in the bunch right here now.
Okay.
All right. Tony, just before I ask you, Anthony, let me address that. You hear Comrade Fairclough talk about self-government. Prior to that, I don't remember what Bustamante was called when he first get into power.
He was Prime Minister.
No, not Prime Minister. He was Chief Minister.
Oh, Chief Minister, yes.
Yeah,
that was from before. Yeah, that was from 44. From this local,
and in 55, after Norman became Chief Minister, he solicited and argued, and we became with self-government, with the exception of defense, he was responsible for everything, and he was a premier.
That's right.
No history about it. And
yes,
many people don't never acknowledge that Bustamante was also a premier too.
Yes,
because when he won in April '62, he was a premier till we get independence in August. To be prime.
That's right. The election was held before they became independent a few months
right.
before.
So that is something.
Yeah,
but I know you want.
right. Yes.
I know you want to go. So Tony.
But the fact of the matter is that we were governing ourselves from 59.
Before. Yes.
Before. Yeah.
We understand.
So it was only a matter of course. And remember one thing, the British wanted to divest themselves of the colonies because they were broke after the war. They were dead, bloody broke. All right. Remember that. Okay. So they didn't want us, they were the millstones around their neck. You see?
All right, I'm gonna let you go to your grandchildren. And so Tony.
Yes, comrade.
Tony?
Yes, comrade president. It's certainly my pleasure to thank Comrade Richard to take time out of his very busy schedule to speak with us this evening. In fact, yesterday when you, Mr. President, and myself and Richard spoke, he gave us a lot of insight that that I will share with others as time goes by, because I had no idea of the greatness of this man, O.T. Fairclough. And for you to host this meeting this evening for a second time around, Comrade Horace, it's very encouraging that you recognize that there are a lot of backstories behind the stories. And for us to have Comrade Richard Fairclough this evening to, share with us the stories of his father and the thinking of the People's National Party. I think each and every one of us owe a depth of gratitude that we still have Comrade Richard and his memory so fresh as if it was only yesterday. And I'm thankful that Comrade Colin Myrie has videotaped this, and it is on the YouTube channel that we will be able to share, as well as on the Facebook platform, that people will be able to listen and watch and know our history. And as Comrade Charmaine said, if we don't know our history, how do we know where we're going, right? And the PNP has a song, we know where we're going, we know, but it's not in everything we know. But this evening, I wish to thank you on behalf of each and every one for taking time out to share with us. And we look forward to another interaction very soon, because this is just probably chapter 2 of probably another 50 chapters that we have to read and share. So Comrade Richard Fairclough, thank you. And it's good to know that your great-grandson is stepping in the footsteps of greatness by attending Jamaica College. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And thank you, sir.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a blessed evening, comrade, and we will talk.
We will talk.
God
bless you.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Take care. Okay. All right. Okay.
Good.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And guys, thank you all for coming out to attend this thing. I know Musa, you didn't have an idea what is going to happen, but I am sure that you did enjoy it and you all learned stuff.
Yes,
and I want
indeed.
to thank Colin and Tony Smith. I mean, putting the technical thing together. Colin, as you all know, is our PRO, and Tony is the quiet one in the background. I am like Richard, I'm at loss when it comes to the technology, but they guided me and helped me. I know there's others here who are up, like Anthony, and with technology, but this is a good thing. I have dedicated that we will continue, because you notice we didn't even get a chance to ask him about what he thinks of the current PNP today. So next time, I think that might be the topic.
Yes, indeed.
So thank you all, and have a restful night and a very peaceful tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Good night. Good night.
One love.
Night.
One love.
One love, comrades, one family.
One love. One love.